Welcome to Season 2, Episode 12 of the podcast Ghosts, Demons, and Murder Oh My. My name is Hayden Crook, and I will be your host for today's episode on the murder of Jeanette De Palma. My first source and the main source for most of this episode will be weirdnewjersey.com and their summary at the beginning of this long article, this long case says in this all but forgotten unsolved case from 1972, the body of a teenage girl was discovered atop a cliff high above an abandoned quarry in the town of Springfield. The corpse was found thanks to a dog that brought home a badly decomposed human forearm to its master. The deceased would later be identified as Jeanette De Palma, a local teenager who had been missing for 6 weeks. Before long, witchcraft, Satanism, and police conspiracies would all become suspects in this bizarre case. And I'm doing this one today because one, it's fall, so true crime, spooky season, all that stuff, witchcraft. The premiere of Agatha All Along was this past week. So, just kind of in my brain, it just made sense. First day of fall, the premiere of Agatha All Along, spooky season, true crime, all that fun stuff. I don't know. Makes sense in my head. So, yeah, we're going to cover this case today. It is kind of lengthy. I think I have about 11 pages of research from this article. Um, and I give the credit to this the Weird New Jersey website because they did most of the work. They researched it and typed all this up. I'm gonna be talking about books that explain it. There's a TV series that's gonna feature it this case pretty soon and just kinds of other details that the Weird New Jersey team found. So buckle in because it should be a little bit of a longer episode, but I'm gonna have to take like water breaks because my voice is gonna get crackly and stuff. So just kind of buckle in and get ready to go through this case together of this missing lady or missing girl. So the article continues. As time went on, more facts became clear. Jeanette had been hitching, I don't know if that's an error, hitching in Springfield Township one afternoon in August 1972, vanished and was later found dead in the woods surrounding the Hoodale quarry after a dog had brought her arm back home to the Beltersall Gardens apartment complex on nearby Wilson Road. When the editors of Weird New Jersey began their own investigation into Jeanette's unexplained death, they were immediately met with resistance from the local police, who claimed that all files and evidence relating to the De Palma case had been destroyed during flooding from Hurricane Floyd in 1999. Today, we know that to be untrue. After a decade of working with Weird New Jersey correspondent Jesse P. Pollock, who co-authored with Mark Moran, the definitive book on the De Palma case, 2015's Death on the Devil's Teeth, and Jeanette's nephew Ray, Weird New Jersey had finally obtained copies of Jeanette's case file from the Union County Prosecutor's Office. After years of denials from previous acting prosecutors, Pollock was able to consult with former UCPO Director of Communications Mark Spivey in 2019 to submit a detailed file request under the New Jersey Open Public Records Act and the Freedom of Information Act. After nearly 2 years of delays due to COVID-19 and personnel changes, the UCPO finally released the bulk of Jeanette De Palma's case file to Pollock in February 2021, including crime scene photos that had been previously described by some New Jersey police officials as missing. While Jeanette's remains have been compassionately redacted from the photographs, the picture they paint is very clear. After careful review of these photographs, Weird New Jersey feels confident that there was no occult activity involved in Jeanette's death. The alleged crosses made from sticks and twigs and halo of stones that were supposedly found placed around Jeanette's body are completely absent from the crime scene photos. Also absent are any animal sacrifices that were long rumored by whispering Union County residents to be near the remains. The closest object resembling a cross found near the remains are two rotten tree branches that had obviously fallen in that spot a long time before Jeanette had come to rest there. No arrows carved in trees or an altar of any sort are seen in the photographs either. This, of course, makes what the press said about these photos in 1972 all the more confusing. An article that appeared in the September 29th, 1972 edition of the Elizabeth Daily Journal entitled Girl Sacrificed in Witch Rite made the following claim. Investigation into the death of 16-year-old Jeanette De Palma is focusing on elements of black witchcraft and Satan worship. A review of death scene photos, according to reports, is leading authorities to believe the girl's death may have been in the nature of a sacrifice. Pieces of wood, at first thought to be at the scene by chance, are now seen as symbols. One searcher said two pieces of wood were crossed on the ground over her head. More wood framed the body like a coffin. Another person who was there said, I guess if you were looking for signs, they were there. This article was the first publication to link Jeanette De Palma's death with witchcraft and Satanism, but even a casual glance at the crime scene diagram drawn by UCPO investigator Glenn Owens shows these supposed signs of black magic and Satan worship are tenuous at best. The two pieces of wood crossed on the ground over her head were actually parallel to Jeanette's body, with her right arm resting on the vertically parallel log and the other horizontal log lying just above her head or beyond her head. Both logs were much larger than Jeanette's entire body. The reports of logs framing Jeanette's body like a coffin are an exaggeration at best. As Owen's diagram shows, the branches fell in a way that roughly resembles an open rectangle and not a trapezoid, as other newspapers reported in 1972. But considering this was a densely overgrown patch of woods, it's probably safe to say that the Hudale, Hudale quarry was filled with countless other branches that also fell into common shapes. The overgrowth itself is another revelation as well. For years, Weird New Jersey has been told time and time again by retired Springfield PD investigators that the spot where Jeanette's body was found was a party spot, and that she likely overdosed there while partying with several other teenagers, all of whom presumably fled out of fear of prosecution instead of rendering her medical aid. The death scene photos tell an entirely different story. The spot where Jeanette's body was discovered is much more overgrown than ever previously described to us. With countless large plants and bushes surrounding the remains, no evidence of a party or any other social gathering is noted in the accompanying evidence reports or seen in the multitude of photographs released in February 2021. What is noted in these reports, however, are the contents of Jeanette's purse, and the revelation that it was apparently never recorded, despite previous accounts given to us by the responding officers on that day. Approximately 8 feet south of Jeanette's remains were the contents of her purse, apparently dumped out into one small pile. Listed in the evidence reports and shown in corresponding photos are a pack of Mark Hall tissues, a Vicks inhaler, a small compact, lipstick, a comb, a key on a ring, a clear vial with an unknown substance, resembling a Corsidian bottle. Jeanette's mother, Florence De Palma, told the press that her daughter had a mild cold on the day she vanished, and a small eyeshadow box. What is absent, however, is Jeanette's purse itself, along with any money or a wallet. If Jeanette was murdered, it is now apparent that her killer took her purse and her cross necklace, probably as souvenirs. The cross necklace was widely reported by her family to have been missing from her body and corroborated by the reports released in February 2021. Obviously, this release is monumental for Jeanette's family, friends, and readers who have been following this case for decades. Many questions have now been answered. It is almost certain that there was no occult element to Jeanette's death. We now know that her purse was never recovered, but as with most revelations with this case, more questions have arisen. Why was her cross necklace and purse stolen from her body? How did anyone inside the Springfield Police Department or the Union County Prosecutor's Office sincerely believe that there was an occult element to this case while looking at the crime scene photos? Why did so many police officials insist for almost half a century that Jeanette's case file and evidence had been destroyed in 1999 by flooding caused by Hurricane Floyd. Weird New Jersey made a commitment to continue looking into this tragic case back in 2004, and we're not about to stop. We will continue looking, or we will continue to do our best to bring answers and justice to Jeanette, her family, and their memory. To all of you who have assisted us on this journey over the past quarter century, we sincerely thank you. If you have any information about Jeanette DePalma or her mysterious death, please contact the Union County Prosecutor's Office at 908-527-4500, or you can reach us at editor@weirdnewjerseynj.com. All requests for anonymity will be honored by us. So that's the first half of the article, just kind of sets the scene about like a summary about their investigation into the case, and updates years later. I'm not sure when this article was originally published, but they added this beginning part as an update to the article, the case in general, and I will be describing and going over those the files and other stuff that was mentioned. I found it online, and I'll be going over that and describing that later on. But I'm just going to finish the rest of this article with testimonials from people that lived in the town and just more information. So the article continues. The remote hilltop location where the body was discovered was said to have been strewn with cult-related symbols, and the body of the young girl was rumored to have been placed on a makeshift altar in the woods. The various versions of the Jeanette DePalma story that we have heard either blamed a coven of witches or a local group of Satanists for her death. The strange thing that we discovered in our investigation of the case was that after 30 years, most people who remembered the case were still too frightened to speak with us about it. Everyone we questioned about the murder seemed to recall the same scant and gruesome details, but nobody wanted to go on record or have their name published in our article, including the Springfield Police Department. The general consensus of the people we questioned in regard to Jeanette's murder seemed unanimous in agreement on certain points: that it was in some way cult related, that there was a police cover-up of the facts in the case, and that Jeanette's killers were still most likely at large. But could the death of Jeanette DePalma really be attributed to some evil force operating the quiet neighborhoods of suburban Union County in the early 1970s? Or had time in the rumor mill merely distorted the facts of the case and sensationalized the crime? This is the question that we pondered, yet could not answer in our original article. After the publication of that article, we would receive several new leads in the case. Some were vague or contradictory, some were cryptic, and others were downright creepy. Sorry, water break. Some of the tips were cautionary, while others seemed to have a sinister undercurrent. Most of the leads came to us in the mail in plain white envelopes, without any return address. Some of the letters were typed, others were handwritten, all were anonymous. They came to us from all over the state, judging by the postmarks. Some were from people who still lived in the area where the murder occurred, while others came from people who had moved away years ago but still remembered the case with horror. The first testimonial is titled "Not an Altar, but Logs Around Her Body." It says, "This is in regards to the story of Jeanette DePalma. When her body was found, it was not on an altar. There were logs around her body. She needs to be put at rest finally. I am sure something out there or someone must be able to give you some more about the case. Maybe she did it herself. Or maybe she did herself in, because at that time there was a lot of Satan stuff going on in the reservation. Sorry I can't give you my name, for more reasons than one. Anonymous." The next testimonial is titled "The Witches Planned the Killing." I was a young teenager when the discovery of Jeanette DePalma happened, and lived in the next town. About 2 years prior, there was much talk in my school about a cult in the surrounding area. They were known as the Witches. They must have let it be known in the area that they planned to kill a child on or about Halloween, either by kidnapping and sacrificing them or by poison. I remember being anxious about this because I went trick-or-treating in those days. I didn't read the newspapers, but I was well aware of the dog that brought home the girl's arm. The story is well known as I lived within 3 miles of the quarry. Anonymous. The next testimonial is Arrows Point the Way. Apparently, my mom knew Jeanette because Jeanette worked at a clothing store in Summit named Seal Funds. They were about the same age, which should have been around 13 or 14. My mother and some of her friends used to hang out and camp in the quarry. That is, until they found out about the murder. My uncle, who was a Summit cop, came to warn my mother against going there any longer. From what I was told, these details were never released to the public. When the dog brought the arm home and the search for the body started, they found arrows carved in the trees that would lead you to the body. The location was high up on a cliff. All around her body were dead animals tied to trees with strings and some in jars. Shortly thereafter, there were reports of animals being mutilated and hung in the same fashion in the Watchung Reservation, which is also very close to the scene of the crime. The Watchung Reservation, or the Res, has been reported to be the center of devil worship activity for years. Anonymous. The next one is I Saw the Sacrifices. I too forgot about the death of Jeanette De Palma, but I can never forget all the weird stuff that happened in Summit, Mountainside, Springfield. And for me, the majority of it in the Watchung Reservation. Now that I think back on it, it would make sense that Springfield would cover up the murder so as to not tarnish the reputation of the town. I know that the sacrifice I know that the sacrifice that my friends saw was never reported or was in the newspaper, but I remember, and I sure as hell know they do too. Anonymous. The final one for this article is titled Just Can't Forget Jeanette. I knew Jeanette De Palma very well, and my friend went out with her. We used to go to church with her. She was a religious girl, but I think her parents forced her to go to church. She was kind of a little bit of a wild girl. We all went up to the house and helped look for her and spoke with her parents. I don't think my friend, who was quite in love with her, even recovered from it. I was very surprised that the police, didn't have anything in the archives about her. It's funny, my wife read the story and she says, don't even get involved. It's a satanic thing. It was all the talk of Union County for 2 weeks. Then, boom, it was gone. Left the papers very quickly. That is very spooky in itself. In the past 30 years, I think I've only thought about that girl twice, and I felt a little ashamed of myself. And then I read the Weird New Jersey article and I said, holy cow, everyone forgot about Jeanette De Palma, that poor girl. And we have a name for this one. It's from Rich. So that concludes that first source. The second source is justiceforjeanettedepalma.com, and I will include a link for that so you can look at these files and such yourself. Let's see. So I focused on the facts. There's a bunch of different tabs on that website, but I chose to focus on the facts. The first fact is Jeanette's death certificate still reads pending further study. And I took a screenshot because, like those guys said in that article, it's all free, whatever, free use and whatnot. And let's see. Yep, it says deferred pending further study for cause of death. Um, and the data issue of that, the let's see, yeah, the autopsy was done on September 21st, 1972. And then the case file, there's like a crude like police drawing that they did. Um, in this, yeah, there's like no sign of occult things. It's like her arm is draped over a log. There's another long log next to her. I'm looking at it. I don't really see anything. The Owens guy did this report. Body on stomach facing right, right arm over tree. Um, Clothing, blue shirt, tan pants, brown sandals. And then it has all the items listed. There's 10 items. Let's see if I can read the handwriting. The tissues, Vicks inhaler, green compact lipstick, blue comb, a key on a ring, a clear vial with unknown substance, an eyeshadow box. And then they count each sandal as an item. So there's 10 items altogether. Then the next fact is John Bancy, Jeanette's nephew, had heard Jeanette was killed by a cop's son, but he just could not prove it. And there's a screenshot of this. It says, what I had heard was that it had something to do with a chief of police at the time, his son. John Bancy said during his 2004 interview with Weird New Jersey magazine. The theory that they had was, and I can't prove this, was that one of the police chiefs had a son who liked my aunt. She went up, she went to go to work, something happened, whatever it may be, and she ended up dead. I was told that he committed suicide a time later. I'm not sure, I can't verify this. That's what we thought had happened. We were told his son might have been the perpetrator, and he was so guilty. I was told he liked my aunt, but she had another boyfriend she went to prom with, and he felt so guilty that he committed suicide. Well, we believe that she was put in a place that somebody from the police department or who knew the police department would know because it was a high up area and it's not far from the police shooting range at the time. That's the old quarry. But we feel that maybe somebody placed a couple sticks around her to make it look like, hey, this is what happened. That's bullshit. I'll guarantee you that rumor came from a cop, says Ed Kish. That's interesting as well. It's like the one that rich boy said that his friend went to the prom with her, so or like liked her, but I don't know if they went to the prom. So it'd be interesting to kind of see how all that connects together. And then it'd be interesting if somebody found evidence that a kid in town did commit suicide over that, but her, I'm not sure. Another fact is Jeanette's case clues revealed on a removed hidden message board on topics.com. Somebody posted a message board on there with the topic or title, curious about a 30-year-old murder. I I tried to like read what it said, like somebody had screenshotted it, but like the text was too tiny and like pixelated and I couldn't read that. But like I said, I'm gonna post um in the episode details in the notes, I'm gonna post links to all these resources, all these websites, and you can look at this stuff yourself. Because like I said, I just kind of skimmed over it and read what I could read and kind of what was described. Um, and that's it for the episode. I thought this would be a lot longer, but let me know your thoughts, theories, and ideas in the comment section on whatever source you listen to this podcast on. Um, I know Spotify recently added like comments and stuff and all that. There is a website or on Facebook. There's a page called Justice for Jeanette De Palma. Apparently, there's a TV show coming out. It's called Out There Crimes of the Paranormal. It premieres September 24th. They posted Who's Ready to Crack Jeanette De Palma's Case? It's time to tell the truth. It'll be episode 4. It'll be titled Jersey Witch Hunt. It says when the body of devout 16-year-old Jeanette De Palma is found near the site of rumored witch activity. Police officers, reporters, and a local church leader insist that she fell prey to the dot, dot, dot. See, and that whole thing's interesting. Like, I don't know. I guess we'll see how well the show covers all this information because I like that the weirdnewjersey.com people did like updates and background and kind of expose the police department and just kind of like the mass hysteria because I mean for this time like the 70s the 80s there was like that satanic panic shit going on and like people probably did think it was something occult but I don't really know. My theory, I don't really know because there's really not enough evidence and such. And it's just kind of, I just think it's shady that the police covered up so much stuff and said stuff got damaged and ruined and it didn't, and all this stuff released later. So I don't know. Uh, Jeanette's cousin, that, what's his name? John Bancy, he might be onto something there. I'm not sure, but I'll probably check out that Out There Crimes of the Paranormal paranormal show that premieres in 2 days. And well, I'll wait till this episode 4, but I'll probably check it out and see how well they do justice for this. But yeah, let me know what you think, your ideas, thoughts, theories, anything. Go ahead and comment, leave a like, subscribe, whatnot. Um, so thank you for listening, and I hope you enjoyed today's episode of Ghosts, Demons, and Murder. Oh my. Make sure to subscribe to this podcast so you'll get all the updates, information, and content that will be uploaded. Thank you for the support and for listening to the podcast. As always, I can be reached via email at haydencrook8@gmail.com.